Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United draw 0-0 with Chelsea, and I come away from that game with a massive sense of disappointment, even though I said in the preview that a draw would be a good result. And I've got to say, it is a good result for Manchester United. I cannot deny that. It is a good result. We remain 6 points ahead of Chelsea. If Liverpool win, we're still 7 points ahead of them. And they play each other on Thursday. And the chances of us getting top four is very, very high. It's a good result. But I tell you what, I will say what I said last night. And this is what I'm going to say. If we want to be title winners, and surely that's what every Manchester United fan believes we should be, title winners. If you want to be title winners, I am disappointed with that tonight because we have played Chelsea twice and drawn 0-0. We have played Arsenal twice and not scored. We have drawn 0-0 with Manchester City and 0-0 with Liverpool and got beat 6-1 by Spurs. They are big traditional top six games, and we are approaching them in the same way that Jose Mourinho approached them 3 years ago. So where is the progress of the club, and how, like Jose, is finishing second but miles behind the first team a good idea of progress? We are being repackaged the same thing we had 3 years ago and being told it's a new thing. We will have this in the summer. We may finish second but 20 points behind Manchester City and be told it's progress. Yet 3 years ago, we were telling ourselves it's not progress. And I cannot move away from the fact that that's a good point. But I cannot move away from the fact that if we are giving our player ratings on putting a shift in FC, we're going to be giving 8s and 9s. But we're Manchester United FC. We lack creativity. We isolate and starve our forwards. We play deep lines. We're not good enough. And we play big games trying not to lose and hopefully nick something. Yes, it should have been a penalty. But is that... I don't believe we are Penchester United. I don't believe he is Penandes. I think we're a better team than that. So why am I going to sit here and moan about a penalty that we should have got, that would have won us the game probably, but was a penalty? Get your player ratings in, links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 is your average, get into that. But there's a lot to talk about in this show. And a lot of things that many of you want to say as well. One, Ollie playing defensive like that shifts the focus from the board, says Aditya. Did not look like we were up for this match at all, says Andrew Rossi. I'm fuming, no urgency at all. They were there for the taking, says Kieran M. I get we're second, but Ollie's got no balls. I feel like he protected his job rather than the team, says Ryan. And boring football, says Sam Walton. Ollie too scared to roll the dice. Edgar says, I'm not saying Ollie out, but he's definitely not the one to take us to success. Majority of us feel Ollie doesn't have the calibre and tactical know-how to win silverware in the near future, says Jose. With Ollie looking so happy and contented with the draw, that says everything. Ollie's bringing Man United nowhere, says Minnie. We will never win the title with this manager and coaching staff, says Sean Negative Turner. If McFred get higher score than attacking 4, I'll be shocked, says Anton. And Mark, in your honest opinion, does Donny make that pass at the end, which McTominay couldn't? Wasn't that difficult? That cross by McTominay is standard. The path is there. You haven't got to beat a player. You haven't got to whip it and dip it. The gap is there. It's open like a front door. He's just got to pass it through and James or Rashford gets it. He falls on his arse and misses the pass. There is a lack of creativity in our midfield and it reflects through our whole team. There is a running theme when we play. Well, all those games I listed, Chelsea twice 0-0, Arsenal twice, no goals, Liverpool, Man City. I guarantee you McFred played in all of them. Because the reality is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a good result there and we must beat Palace. But we're going to do the same against Man City now. And at some point, you become bored of it. At some point, you become disingenuous towards it. At some point, you go, this is not Manchester United. Grinding out results to get in top 4, to get knocked out in the group stage. What is top 4? This is what I always used to laugh at Arsenal about. What is top 4? What's so good about top 4? It gets you in the Champions League, and I want us to be in the Champions League. But there's nothing glamorous about it if you don't do something with it. We finished in the top 4 last year. We didn't buy the players we needed, and we haven't really massively progressed this year. We're still fighting for third, I believe, which is what we were doing last year. What does top 4 bring? It keeps a manager in his role. And I'm going to say this right now. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be seriously looked at in May. I said this after Leipzig, and I said it when we were top of the league. I'm not going to be driven by one result, 3 results. I'm going to say what I've said all season. Give him till May. He deserves till May. But I will not sit here and bullshit or listen to bullshit about progression when Jose Mourinho was doing this 3 years ago. Grinding out points, getting us to second place, miles away from Manchester City. It feels to me, and I might have got this wrong, but it feels to me like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not managing Manchester United's best interests, he's managing his own best interests. He is going into games not to get beat, to keep himself in a job and top 4. Because technically, Manchester United could still win the league before today. We can't now. We've just dropped another 2 points on Man City. But we're playing Man City next week. Beat Chelsea, beat Palace, beat Man City. Unlikely, but the door is still a bit open. Today was about protecting top 4. Today was about not getting beat. And today was not, in any sense of form, an ambitious result to go and get a result. This reminded me of Liverpool at Anfield, where a little bit more would have given us more. And ultimately, the 2 best chances of the game came to Chelsea. A fantastic save by David De Gea and an inch from Giroud scoring a goal from a diving header. We created no chances in the box. Greenwood had a good shot from outside the box. McTominay had a shot that went through the crowd. But they had the better chances, and yet I feel we were the better team. Lack of creativity is a problem. Lack of ambition is a problem. We made 1 substitute. Chelsea played on Tuesday. They made 3 substitutes. And this is something I really want to drill into because I've said it time and time again. We don't make enough substitutes with this manager and coaching setup. We are cowardly in relation to changing things within games. Chelsea played on Tuesday. They weren't tired. Tuchel wanted to win the game. He changed somebody at half-time, somebody after about 60 minutes, and somebody after about 75 minutes. He made 3 changes in an attempt to try and win the game. We made our first change around 75 minutes, and it was basically give Greenwood a breather, put Martial on. There was never a change in the midfield. McTominay trained for the first time yesterday and played 90 minutes today. Fred was on a yellow card for over half an hour and played 90 minutes today. They lack creativity. They lack ingenuity. They are just running around. They are just a couple of Duracell bunnies. 1 of them's fine. 2 of them is redundant. You've got Matic, who's a better passer than them, and you've got Donny van der Beek on the bench. There are people on that bench that could have given us some creativity from the midfield. Donny van der Beek could have been running away in the last 5 minutes on the right-hand side. Do you want Donny van der Beek putting that cross in, or do you want McTominay putting the cross in? And this is what I mean. People will say Bruno Fernandes had a bad game. I will say Rashford had a worse game. But I will say James and Greenwood had a bad game. Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, James had a bad game. Anfield, same thing happened. Man City, same thing happened. Chelsea in autumn, same thing happened. Arsenal, same thing happened. I said it on the morning show this morning. Wouldn't surprise me if Bruno has a below average game today. Why? Because he'll be starved of anything. People will go, Bruno had a bad game. And I will say, when the team came out, why do you think Bruno had a bad game? He's got Maguire and Lindelof pulling everybody deep. He's got McFred shielding them. He's got no creativity behind him. And you expect him to make things happen. The ball comes from the back. And when the ball doesn't come from the back, you don't get the ball. So for me, it was very predictable that Rashford, Bruno, Greenwood and James would not have good games the minute that team was picked. Because every time we play a traditional top 6, it's Maguire and Lindelof, keep it deep. It's McFred, shield them. It's Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, don't get forward too much. And it's this. Watch the game back, it's the same. It's the same. The funny thing is, in the first half, Chelsea invited us on, but we had zero creativity. I thought the first half we pressed quite well. I thought in the first half we had a lot of the ball in their half, but we had no creativity to do anything with it. They were happy to let Fred and McTominay come towards the edge of the box because they didn't care. They were like, go on then, do your worst. All they were bothered about was when Bruno got it or Rashford got it and they swarmed us. But when McTominay and Fred had it, they were like, you can have it. You do what you like with it because we're not worried about you. Second half was very much defence against attack, trying to counter them. And a couple of times in the second half we could have countered them, but Yeah, I mean, you've got to be very, very happy with the points. You've got to be happy with the point. I agree with that. But how many times does it take for you to start thinking about what's going on at this football club in relation to real progression? Ollie's clueless. If I was Bruno, get out of the club. Well, look, Victor, Bruno was furious walking off that pitch. Absolutely furious because he knows. He knows, mate. He knows. Lee, go and find another channel because I've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about different things. We can dress it up whichever way we want. We will never win anything with this manager in charge. He will ruin these players with his negative tactics, says Dynamo. I'm sick to death of this top four talk and we're second, so it's okay. This is Manchester United. Had this repackaged nonsense for years. Never would we have settled for this 10 years ago, says Bree. Ollie's in-game management is an area he must improve on if he wants to progress as a manager. McSauce clearly wasn't 100%. Sub was needed for energy, says Aziz. Backing Ollie is very hard when he makes it easy not to, says P. Toledo. I'd rather be second playing boring football than outside the top six, says HCLF Gaming. If you want exciting football, go support Leeds. But that's your second comment, mate. That's your second comment today about the same thing. And all I'm going to say to you is, you're trying to polish a turd. Because if you're happy with where we are, why is Mourinho not your boss then? Why are you not saying we shouldn't have sacked Mourinho? You're offering up an opinion, but you're contradicting yourself because we've been here before. We had Jose Mourinho doing this. So you're saying you're happy with Ollie, but you should be moaning, why is Mourinho not here? Because we've been here. We've been in this position, playing this way, in this situation. Personally, I think Ahmed was man of the match. He had real skill sitting on the bench, says Gideon. We didn't play deep today. We tried to put creativity was not there. If we want to win, Van der Beek should come in. Bruno was angry, says Rasmus. This is obviously not a supporter channel. So much negative lack quality. Still number 2, Chinese man. Janice, I don't know. I think I don't really know what you're trying to say there. Really, to be honest with you. We rightly have top standards, but look at our squad. No wonder Ollie sets us up not to lose versus the big stick. We're not creative enough, says Brad Bowden. We can save all the super chats and tweets for the City game. Same lineup, same approach. Ollie won't change. Bruno's average position was in his own half, says KA. Look, I'm not Ollie out. Everybody knows that. And I've always said give him till May. And being second in the league is good. And the result is not terrible. But if you want to play a better brand of football, do not come to me and say Solskjaer's doing the best with what he's got. Drop Maguire or Lindelof and play Eric Bailly. You play 10 metres further up the pitch straight away. Also, your fullbacks have got licence to go forward because they're not babysitting the donkeys at centre-back. McTominay is allowed to go further forward when Bailly plays because he doesn't need babysitting like Lindelof and Maguire. So straight away, one player makes us more attacking. One player makes us more attacking because Eric Bailly doesn't need babysitting like Maguire and Lindelof. I've been telling you this for weeks. You all know it. We did it again in the second half today. Shaw and Wan-Bissaka barely went forward. Fred and McTominay sat in front of them. They play deep. Play Eric Bailly, you can play further up the pitch. Don't talk to me about Solskjaer was trying to play creative, adventurous football today. He wasn't. If he wanted to, he could play Eric Bailly, who is the best centre-back we've got and plays in the best centre-back pairing we've got. We didn't try to win that game. We tried not to lose that game. And what happened in the first half is Tuchel tried to suck us in. He tried to make us attack so that he could bypass our defensive play. And it didn't work because we had a lot of the ball in the first half. We didn't know what to do with it. Ollie spoke about passing through the lines. What? With who? Who are you going to pass through the lines with? You've got Bruno Fernandes. He's the only creative player you've got on that pitch. Daniel James is an old school winger. He'll run up and down. He'll put a cross in and have a shot. Rashford is an individual flair player. He won't create things. Greenwood is a goal scorer. Fred is a box-to-box midfielder who can't pass. McTominay is a bag of energy who hasn't played for a week. Bruno's the only creative force in that team. Chelsea invite us on in the first half. We create nothing. In the second half, they try to win the game. We've got chances on the break, but we create next to nothing. So whether we've got the ball in their half or whether we try and hit them on the break, we had no shot on goal in the box. We created nothing. So I'm not having this. Oh, Ollie tried this, Ollie tried that. The reality is he doesn't put the right players on the pitch to create things because he's too risk averse. Chelsea in the first half invited us on. They said, invite us on. And the reason they did that is because they wanted us to play higher up the pitch to try and exploit us on the break. But we created nothing. And in the second half, they tried to attack us and left the space, and we created nothing. I tell you, there was 2 or 3 opportunities in that game. Countless times Fred and McTominay had the ball, where if it was Pogba, we probably would have scored. Like, he would have found the pass. He would have found the cross, whatever it was. McTominay and Fred are killing that team because they can't create anything. One of them's fine. 2 of them is dead. There's not enough creativity. And Bruno and Rashford and everyone else struggle because of that. You drop Bruno Fernandes in a Man City team, he'll be one of the world's best players. You drop him in a Liverpool team, he'll be one of the world's best players. In a United team, he's still one of the best players in Europe. But in the big games, we kill him. We kill him. We absolutely kill him in the big games. He can't get in the big games because of the way we play. Against Palace on Wednesday, I think Bruno will be man of the match because we will try to win the game. But against the top 6, I can only repeat what I've said. 2 0-0s against Chelsea. 2 games against Arsenal not scoring. 2 0-0s against Man City and Liverpool. It's not adventurous enough. Can you remember that feeling watching United when you felt confident that you were watching a team that would win at all costs, says Bree Shaw? I do. Welcome to the Members Club, Mason Patrick. Were we playing deep? Bruno didn't play well at all, which was a difference, says Emma Heaton. Respect your opinion, but I don't agree with you though. Cavani was missed. Emma, I don't care whether you disagree with me. That's the whole point. But you're telling me we had loads of the ball and Bruno just had a bad game. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Like, when did we create any chances? When did we create a chance in the box? Where's the creativity that you're talking about? The way you're talking is we absolutely dominated them, but Bruno just missed a load of shots or missed the final pass. We created nothing. We didn't create anything. We were really poor on the ball. And that comes from the back to the front. It doesn't start at the front. Bruno and Rashford stat padding against crap teams. This football is atrocious. Look at the lawman says. Lewis Webb, Ollie and his coaches are the magic beans, Mark. The board love what we give Ollie time so they don't have to achieve anything. It's working progress, says Lewis. 2 of our midfielders drop into the back line. Massive space in the middle of the pitch, attacking and defending, says Brendan. Mark, you're my therapy. I'm sat saying you're right continuously at the TV. Keep going, mate, says Andy and Bruno. William Campion, thank you very much. Please smash a like on the video. By the way, and make sure you subscribe. We're on this road to 1 million, of course. We're going to do the player ratings. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Here's just something very interesting. For anybody who tunes in before the game, I always write a few notes what I think about the team that he's picked before a ball's been kicked. Before a ball had been kicked, when the team news came in, I said, this reminds me of Jose. Thumbs up. The problem with this team is a lack of creativity. McFred and Maguire making us play deep. Magaluf making us play deep. So before a ball was kicked, I've wrote down no creativity because of McFred and Magaluf. Bruno energy. I mean, look, as I said, I could give probably 4 or 5 players a really high mark for putting a shift in. But is Manchester United not... I mean... I see a lot of people on the watch along talking about certain players who played well today because they put a shift in. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say something on this. Manchester United is not about putting a shift in. Putting a shift in a Manchester United shirt comes as standard. You know, this is not a trait to praise. Every Man United player should put a shift in. We should not be praising players for putting a fucking shift in. I tell you what, if you're putting a shift in and that's all you've got, you should be playing for Newcastle. A Manchester United player should put a shift in, be creative on the ball, be able to win us a game and also save us a game. That's what I expect of a Manchester United midfielder. I don't expect Duracell bunnies. I expect a little bit more. I don't expect Duracell bunnies on the wing. I expect more. I don't expect that consistently. I expect more. It's a very good result, a point, and it's very good to be second in the league. But it's very worrying the amount of games we are playing against the traditional top 6 like that. Not winning, not scoring, not creating. That's not progress. That's treading water. That is basically... I'm trying to think of an analogy for this. This is basically... You're in a swimming pool, just kicking. Not trying to get out the pool. You're just kicking away. And eventually you're going to sink because you're going to run out of energy. There's no progression. We're not trying to go to the next level. We're just trying to stay where we are. By going to Chelsea for a point, by going to the Emirates for a point, by going But being at Old Trafford for a point against Chelsea, that's not progression. Progression is trying to win those games. And when you don't win them, finding out. I would not rather lose that game. But I want to try and win that game. And if we don't win that game and we lose that game because we open up a bit, I want to know why we're not winning the game. We're not learning anything by playing like that. We can do that for the next 10 years. We can play Chelsea like that every year for the next 10 years. Mourinho wanted to do that. We want to win that game. I want to find out how we're going to win that game. You can't win a game of football by trying to hit a team on the break. Consistently, people will figure you out. You've got to have in-game management. You've got to use your subs. And what I really noticed again is we're going to do player ratings. Links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10. 6 is average. We'll go through that next. Going to be really interesting on the player ratings. But I really wanted to bring this in. I've seen this before. It's happened a few times. Arsenal was the last time it happened. First half against Arsenal, I thought we could have gone 1-0 in. Second half, Arteta changed it. We didn't deserve to win it second half. Chelsea, we should have gone in 1-0. Second half, Tuchel changed it. I felt they were the better team. There's no in-game management from Ollie at the moment. He doesn't change it. It's basically a 90-minute plan. And the subs are about, well, I'm just going to freshen it up. There's never a tactical change. If you look at Arteta against United, tactical change at half time, different Arsenal second half. You look at United today, Chelsea in the first half, very poor. Second half, better. Tactical change. Sub, tactical change. Sub, tactical change. United, no tactical change across the whole game. The only sub that was made was for fresh legs, Martial for Mason. There was tactical changes that could have been made in that game. You could have brought Bailly on and played higher up. You could have brought Van der Beek on and took off McTominay or Fred. You could have brought Matic on and freshened it up with a bit of a tactical change. We don't change things tactically in game. So anybody who's there saying we tried to win that game, you're talking out your arse. We never tried to win that game. From half-time to full-time, we didn't change anything. We just freshened the number 9. The only change we made in that game was Greenwood for Martial. But Greenwood got no service, and neither did Martial. So it was really just about getting somebody else to run around up front with no service. There was never a change to tactically try and change things up. Shockingly, we're an organisation from top to bottom full of yes men. There's only one man who isn't, Bruno. No one else demands better from the captain to the manager to the board, says Nick P. I love Ollie as our manager. We should get him some allergy medication to treat his superstition allergy, says Nandit. We have to face some hard truths. This may unfortunately be a new standard until the club is reworked from top down, says Ramsco. Ollie is playing to stay in the top 4 and win the Europa, says Kevin. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka and James on the right wing is cringe, says Lee Preston. Well, I think the player ratings is going to be really interesting. We're going to do that now. But I think that the scores on the player ratings are going to be they're going to be really interesting because I can't change mine. I can only give you what mine are. So links in the video description. I hope I put it in the video description. Let me just make sure. Yes, the link is in the video description. Click that and do your votes. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being average, and whatever. We're going to do that now. But I think just before we start doing the player ratings, what I would say is that they're going to be very interesting for one reason and one reason only. Some people are going to be marking people for running around a lot, and some people will be marking people down because they actually didn't offer any creativity. So I think that's going to be very, very, very interesting. Nandit, we've done that. Luke Shaw did post-match interview in US, said ref told him on the field he couldn't give penalty because of the reaction it would cause. No, that can't be true. That can't be true. That can't be true. I'm going to have to check that. It was a penalty, by the way. 100% that was a penalty. Well, there are people on social media. So yeah, Luke Shaw has said, the ref said to Maguire, if I say it's a penalty, then it's going to cause a lot of talk afterwards. Well, you know, we've been robbed of a penalty there. But then he's also said, I'm not going to moan about it because neither side did enough to win. And I think that's the most important thing. It was a penalty. It 100% was a penalty. But we didn't do enough to win that game. We didn't try and win the game, did we? And I think that's where many United fans are. The super chat is correct. That's what Luke Shaw said. That ref told him if he gives it, it creates controversy. Oh, fuck off, ref. And Mark Dobby says it's true as well. Right, okay, let's do the player ratings. Let me just refresh them for the last time. Bottom right, you can do that through the link in the video description, by the way. Just waiting for it to refresh, and we'll go through the player ratings. Please subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. We're on the road to 1 million, and we're getting close. We're nearly 996,000. We're 50 away from 996,500. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Help us on the road to 1 million, which will be amazing. We are... just waiting for this to do this. Okay. Bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. I forgot I was going to say something then. Yeah, we're live every night at 8 o'clock. Got the fan forum coming up after this every morning at 10 a.m. Interactive. Look, it's not always easy on this channel. We don't always agree. There will be differing opinions. That's what it's meant to be about. There will be people sat there tonight going, don't know why people are moaning. We're second in the league. It's a good point. Ollie's doing his best. The board are a bunch of wankers. Other people will be going, the board are a bunch of wankers. Ollie is not doing his best. He could be more creative. It's not acceptable to keep drawing 0-0 in the big games. Some people will be like, I don't even know what to think. I'm just going to go and have a bottle of wine. I'm going to join you in a minute. But look, as I've always said, even when we got dropped out by Leipzig, even when we wanted Poch in October, even when we were the top of the league in January, what have I kept saying? I'm not making my decision on Ollie till May, and neither should the club. If he gets top 4, he'll get a new contract. But I tell you what, you can't sack a manager who gets you top 4, but if we had a director of football, you would be pulling him into the office and saying, mate, you can't play like this against the top 6 anymore. It's wrong. Like, you just can't keep doing that. You're surviving. You're not living. You're just surviving. You know, you've got to live. You've got to let the club breathe. You can't just hide away surviving. Anyway, let's do these player ratings. So, look, David De Gea today. Oh, David De Gea. This is something that puts a smile on the face. David De Gea. What a save. Assured. There was a lot of shots at David De Gea. A lot of shots. And look, Dean Henderson had one on Thursday and he spilt it. So don't say they were routine. He spilt one. Concentration. Communication. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from David De Gea today. And when he was called upon, he made a fantastic save. That was not an easy save. He's going one way. He thinks the shot's going one way. It's another. And he's got to have a strong arm. And it was a very good save from David De Gea. So for me, again, very good performance. I'll give him a 7. Spot on. You agree with me? That's fine. Wan-Bissaka, I think he was restricted. I think Wan-Bissaka was restricted today. Didn't get forward hardly at all. I think against Palace or Newcastle, when we're not playing the top 6, they're allowed to get forward. When we're playing the top 6, it's do not go any further than 10 metres away from Victor Lindelof ever. And we saw that. He was restricted, Wan-Bissaka. So I'll give him an average 6. 5.9 from you. Lindelof, you know what? That bit of defensive play on the back post, Werner would have had a tap in. It's another cross that eludes Maguire on the front post. He would have had a tap in, and Lindelof did really well, and he did the same thing against Sociedad on Thursday. So I don't think Lindelof was terrible, but then again, let's be honest, Giroud should have scored, and if he had scored, you'd have been looking at Maguire and Lindelof and saying, what the hell are you doing? So for me, Lindelof and Maguire today were protected. They're not going to have a bad game when they're playing a deep line and they're protected like that. They were protected, so it's a 6. Same for Maguire for me. Protected. They're a protected species. I'm pretty sure David Attenborough will be doing his next Wildlife on One show on them. They are protected. They are overprotected. They're not going to have a bad game. They're not having a bad game when they're protected like that. 2 CDMs in front of them. 2 fullbacks that don't go forward. They play a deep line whenever Chelsea get the ball. They're overprotected. And then when Chelsea do put a good cross in, they're not marking their man. So I just think they're overprotected. 6 for me from Maguire today. And Luke Shaw, look, I don't think we saw the best of Shaw. I think that he hardly got forward. I wouldn't say he had a bad performance, but he was stifled by the fact that he couldn't get forward. So I'd give him a 6. Again, I agree with you on that one. Very easy to do. Fred's an interesting one today. What are we thinking about Fred? I like Fred, is what I'm going to say. I like Fred. And you cannot say that Fred is unlikable. He's a likable guy. is a limited guy. He can't pass. He's not creative. He can't shoot. I mean, he had a shot from the edge of the box that was very close. And Ollie's there clapping him like he's his little boy. Yay, try it. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. This is like Manchester United. It's Manchester United. And we're doing thumbs up and clapping a crap player at shots. I mean, it nearly went. I mean, it would have been a worldie if it went in. But he can't shoot. He can't shoot. There was one point he was playing like Neymar. He did ball rolls and everything. He found his Brazilian passport for 5 seconds. But Fred is an honest workaholic player. Tenacious, tackling, energy. But he should be playing for Newcastle. I said this in the game. And look, it's funny because a lot of people have asked me today about unpopular opinions. This is probably my king unpopular opinion. Fred should be playing for Newcastle. He shouldn't be playing for a top 6 club because a top 6 midfielder should have more to them than tenacity, energy and tackling. They should have positional sense. They should have creativity and passing ability. And he doesn't have those things. So I like Fred. But I'm waking up to the fact that he's a bench player for Manchester United. He's not a starter. I really do like him. But we're trying to be title winners. We're trying to be one of the best teams in the country. We're trying to be cup winners. And he's very limited. He's very limited. He gets the ball and he doesn't really know what to do with it in a creative sense. So we're never going to progress if we don't have players in that midfield pivot. Look, Kante, Kovacic today, did they have a good game? Not really. But are they players that on their day have a pass in them, can carry the ball, can score a goal? Yes. I don't think Fred does. So I'll give him a 5 today. McTominay, look, I don't think... I'm going to just instantly give McTominay a 5. He only trained yesterday. His passing was poor. He doesn't pick his man up on runners. Very energetic, put a shift in, 100%. You know what? If you want to give McTominay and Fred 7s and 8s, that's fine because they put a shift in. They definitely put a shift in and they work hard and they play for the badge and you know they keep going and all of that. And that if that's the thing you want to mark them high on, I understand that. But I think in a game like this, it really exposes against the Chelseas, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals. We've been playing McFred in every one of those games and we've got no goals. And we've got no goals because they don't have creativity. And they don't have the license to be creative. If McTominay could get to the edge of the box more, we know what he can do, but he's not allowed to do that in this game. He's doing a role that he's actually not very good at. So, and he's got to make that cross at the end. I mean, look, maybe Rashford or James would miss the chance, but you've got to create the chance. So, for me, McTominay put a shift in today, but not a great performance. And Bruno, likewise, I give him a 5. Look, I'm not going to be biased. I get fed up of people saying, "Oh, you've got an agenda against this player, you've got an agenda against that player." Bruno's... If you want to mark a player on putting a shift in and leadership and passion, you give Bruno 10 out of 10 today. There's no doubt. I saw him running around in the second half and he was going man to man to man. And I'm like, he wouldn't need to run around that much if everyone else was doing their pressing job. It's not pressing when one player is running from the forward to the winger to the midfielder. That's just somebody putting in a shift ridiculously because somebody else isn't. And I think we all know who it is. He was going from there to there to there. And if our other front three players did that, he wouldn't need to do that. So Bruno Fernandes put an amazing shift in today. But did he play well? No. You can't give him... Bruno, a 6 for Bruno is probably getting a goal. Like, he didn't get a goal. He didn't get a penalty. He didn't hit the post. He didn't have a good game. He put an amazing shift in, but he didn't have a good game. And this is what I'm talking about. Ollie's tactics destroy people like Bruno in the big game and that's why he's frustrated when he walks off. He knows he's not had a good game. He knows he's put a shift in, but he knows he's not had a good game. And how disheartening is it when you walk off as a player knackered because you've ran your arse off, but you know you've had a bad game. But you know you've had a bad game because the players around you haven't done what you've done. They haven't put the shift in or they haven't given you the ball enough. And I think that's, Bruno did not have a good game today. But you can't argue about his work rate is brilliant, but we've got to be more than a work rate. We have to be more than that. Dan James 5, yeah, same as Bruno. I mean, how can you give Dan James more than Bruno? Like exactly the same thing. He put a shift in. Was his passing good? No. Did he make a big difference in the game? No. I don't see anything in Dan James' performance that's any better than Bruno's. Only that with Bruno, we hope he does more. But if you don't get the ball, you don't make things happen. And Dan James, like Rashford and Greenwood, they're all a victim. They're all a victim of the tactics that we keep playing in games like this. So I would give Dan James a 5. To be honest with you, just on Dan James, I don't think he suited this game. I think Dan James is very one-dimensional. I think Dan James works in a game where there's room for him to run into. There was no room for Dan James to run into, so he can't run into space. So Dan James has to rely on intricate little passing. Well, that's not his game. Dan James is a kick and run player. Dan James is a wing player. He can put the shift in, and he did put a shift in, but he's not going to give you anything. Like I said this before. You could replace Dan James for Marcus Albrighton today and get the same performance. It doesn't suit Dan James. It's just anybody could do that role in a Premier League club, and unfortunately that's a lot of the problems with United today. Same with Rashford. You could have put Damari Gray from Leicester on the left wing today. He would have had the same game as Rashford, even though Rashford's a better player than Gray. He would have had the same game because it's just really about putting a shift in because you're not getting enough of the ball. I don't know how you can give Dan James a 7, anybody. I know he's very popular at the moment, but I don't know how you can give him a 7 because average is 6. What did he do? He didn't get enough of the ball for a start. So how can you give... You know what you are? You're giving people high scores because of put a shift in FC. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And it's not his fault. But, there you go. Dan James. Marcus Rashford. I don't know whether I dare do this. 4. Oh, well, at least somebody's gone with a 4. A few people have gone with a 4. I'm going to give Rashford a 4. I love Marcus Rashford. He's one of my favourite players, but I thought he was totally ineffective today. And I think that there's been plenty of time. Basically, the reason I'm giving him a 4, and I'm sorry, Marcus, I'm sure you don't watch anyway, but the reason I'm giving you a 4 is not because I don't like you. I think you're a fantastic player. But I don't think I didn't really notice your effort levels today. I'm not saying you didn't put any in, but I didn't notice many tackles. I didn't really notice you do much good. But I 100% wanted to do this because if Anthony Martial had played like you today, he would have got a 2. And I just wanted to be a bit fair, to be honest. I think if Martial had played that game, he would have got a 2. So I just wanted to be a bit fair and say that he was non-existent in that game. Very, very quiet. And probably, again, you're a victim, Marcus, of that system. The lack of creativity from midfield and defence and the lack of support from Luke Shaw exposed Marcus Rashford. He had nothing. He got no ball. And when he did get the ball, he was swamped. Luke Shaw barely overlapped. Decision making wasn't that great, but it wasn't good from Rashford today. Sometimes I think people get too het up. They're in the Marcus Rashford fan club. I can't give him anything lower than a 7. Well, I think you've got to be honest. I've just given Bruno a 5, and I thought Bruno did more than Rashford, so I'm giving Bruno a 4. Mason Greenwood 5, below average. Yeah, not his fault. Put a shift in, but isolated. One very good shot, but where was the service? Where was the ball? How can you give somebody an average when they don't get hardly any of the ball? So Marcus Rashford was a victim of that. Same as Anthony Martial, 5. Is it any wonder that Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, James, Fernandes, all poor scores? And I predicted this morning. I said this morning, very, very high chance that our attackers will get low scores in the player ratings because they'll get 0 ball, and when they do get the ball, it will be slow. Ollie will get the sacked because of all these draws. He won't. He's not going to get sacked. So what are we giving Ollie? And before you give Ollie a score, please smash a like on the video. Let's see if we can get to 5,000 likes. Smash a like on the video, please. Thanks everyone who's been tuning in today. It's been a tough watch. We predicted it was going to be a tough watch. I predicted it would be a draw. Many of you went with a draw. We hoped for a 1-1 to at least get a goal. We got a 0-0. Bree Shaw says it hurts, can feel the fear, no keys in the door or games management. Yes, we may have lost some games by changing things, but at least the winning mentality would develop and the rest will sort itself out. You can't start winning those games, Bree. You're right. You can't start winning those games if you don't try to win them in the first place. Because if you lose when you try to win, you learn. But when you keep playing like that, you learn nothing. All we're going to do is keep playing park the bus counter-attacking football. All we're going to keep doing is, even when they let us attack, have non-creative players to create. Because in the first half, it wasn't counter-attack. It was invited pressure from Chelsea, but we had no creativity to do anything. In the second half, it was counter-attacking. So even when teams invite us on, we're too negatively set up that we can't create anything. Working hard isn't good enough. Pay, we 70k a week. I'll run more than Fred, says Sean Negative Turner. Ollie's so clueless. If I was Bruno, get out of the club. He's so frustrated. Worst game ever, says Victor. Okay, let's do Ollie's score out of 10. Right, I'm going to shock people here. I'm going to shock people with what I'm going to give Ollie. I'm going to give him a 5. And I knew people would give him 4s. I'm going to give him a 5 because ultimately 6 would be average. And I'm probably closer to a 6 than I'm closer to a 4. So I'm not with you on this one. We're second in the league and a draw is not a bad result. If that had been a 2-2 draw and a great open game, you'd be happy. The problem is the draw is a good result, but the way we've drawn is bad. And it's happened too many times for us to just write it off. As I said, 1 goal out of 7 games. 1 goal in 7 games against the traditional top 6 this season. That is not, it's shambolic. That is consistent. That is consistent negativity. So for me, good result for Ollie. Very good result for Ollie, getting a point. But 6 games with 1 goal against the traditional top 6 tells a story. And it's a very boring story. It's a very negative story. So I think Solskjaer will probably be very, very happy. But what he's probably going to have to realise is that you can be Manchester United manager, you can finish second, and you can still lose your job 6 months after. Jose Mourinho finished second in the league and was sacked 4 months later. He was sacked in December. So don't rest on your laurels, Ollie. Don't think that grinding out those results and getting second place is going to keep you in a job for 3 years. Jose Mourinho did this and paid with his job. Jose Mourinho finished second and people were bored to death with it. Jose Mourinho tried to continue doing it and he lost his players and he lost his job. So if Ollie thinks that's progress, remember, Ollie, many United fans have been here before. Very recently, we've seen a manager grind those sort of boring results out. We've seen a manager finish second but miles behind the best team in the league. We've seen that manager not get backed and then we've seen that manager get sacked. So Ollie needs to be very careful about what he thinks progress is and what he thinks is a good result. He'd do well to look at Mourinho's last full season at Manchester United because there are a lot of similarities with where we are at the moment. And Ollie would do well to look at that because the fans will not cheer and praise those sort of performances for long. They won't because it's not Manchester United. Bruni's going to want out, says Brad Lewis. When that happens, everyone will turn on him rather than put the blame on the club. And Ollie's contract hasn't been extended till now. Is this tactics the fear of losing your job? Just a thought, says Dipak. What's with this? We're all second in the league. Rubbish. We are Man United since when is second good enough? And just to answer that question, I do think that Ollie, there is an element of Ollie playing for his job. I think it's, unfortunately, is it not a characteristic of knowing that you could be sacked in May? He's got 1 year left on his contract. So he's playing for his job. Of course he's playing for his job. Mark, more was expected of Jose. And as you say, he lost the players. There's no chance of Ollie losing the players and he's only going to improve. Well, I hope you're right, Leon. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I hope you're right. But I just think that that's unacceptable today. And doing that 7 times this season against the top 6 is unacceptable. When are we going to try and win a game against the top 6 club? I mean, Chelsea are 5th. When are we going to try? Why are we not trying to win those games? Why are we trying to grind them out? Why are we playing football like Van Gaal and Mourinho? Why are we still doing that? Ollie talks about playing the right way. He talks about the Manchester United way. But he's just repackaging what Mourinho and Van Gaal did. And I'm not going to lie that that's not happening. It is. I back Ollie. I've said give him till May. I think we're in a good position in the league and I think that's a good result. But that is just repackaging the same old shit that we're not happy with. So it's not about being Ollie out for me. It's about being lied to, really. David De Gea is my man of the match, by the way. Let's see who yours is. David De Gea, man of the match. Don't show it the Manchester Evening News. They'll shit themselves. There you go. David De Gea, man of the match. There's a certain journalist at the Manchester Evening News who'll be furious about that. But 61% of the vote. And that tells you the story, doesn't it? When your goalkeeper's back being man of the match again, like he used to be, all those years ago. Remember when David De Gea used to be man of the match every game? Well, that's not... Remember when David De Gea used to be man of the match under Mourinho and Van Gaal? I've literally just set myself up with the perfect assist. I was just saying, Ollie's basically repackaging what Van Gaal and Ollie and Jose did, and our man of the match is De Gea, just like he used to be under Van Gaal and Mourinho. So we're exactly where we were, and that's not where we want to be. I want to be second. I want to see progress. I think at times we've seen brilliant football under Ollie, but against the top six, we're just seeing this same negative approach, and we want to see better than that. So there you go. Well done to David De Gea, though. He's had a difficult, unfair couple of scapegoating weeks, so I'm very happy that he's back as man of the match, and a very good performance from him today. Stand by David De Gea. He's fantastic. Look, we move on. What was finishing on a positive, let me just say, we have to beat Palace on Wednesday night. We've got to beat Palace on Wednesday night. This point's a bad point if we don't beat Palace. It's a good point if we beat Palace. So we move on, and we've got Man City next week. And unfortunately, like I said against Newcastle last week in the match reaction, I guarantee next week we're going to see the same team and the same approach as what we saw today against Man City, unfortunately, which is trying to not get beat. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Let's see if we can get to 5k. And make sure you subscribe. We're on a road to 1 million. The fan forum has started. Let's raid it with... I want something about De Gea. What's something we can say about David De Gea? Dave saves. There we go. Dave saves. Fan forum. I'll see you on there. Thanks for watching. Have a nice Sunday evening. It's a good result, but there's a bigger picture. Stick with Ollie till May. Let's see where we are. There is progress under Ollie, but these distinctive performances are not progress. They're just like Mourinho repackaged. And big shout out to David De Gea. Big shout out to all of you. Smash a like on the video for David De Gea. If he was your man of the match, he deserves it. And I'll speak to you all in a bit, and get over to the fan forum.